Hello, it's Carrie here from the Female Entrepreneur Association, and welcome to the 10-Minute Masterclass, your weekly dose of inspiration to build a successful business. So I know that so many of us are building businesses where we're sharing information, we're trying to help other people, and we would love to be the go-to expert of our industry. But the question is, how do you actually become the go-to expert of your industry? I think this is a question so many of us want to know the answer to, which is why we are focusing on this in this episode. And we are joined by the lovely Louise Presley-Turner, who is a founder of The Game of Life, and she is going to be sharing her knowledge all on this topic. So Louise, thank you so much for joining us.
No, it's great to be with you.
I am so excited to talk to you about this. Firstly, because I know you are one of the UK's leading experts on personal development, so you know how to actually establish yourself as an expert. I think this is something that so many of us want to know how to do, when we've got a message to share, or whatever, no matter what business we have. I think all of us would love to be seen as the go-to experts of our industries. But I think this is something that a lot of people just don't quite know how to do. So let's just jump straight into it. What are the things that people can start to do to establish themselves as the expert?
Yeah, fantastic. So, it's really important because, building a business takes time. And when we become the go-to expert, we're naturally going to attract more clients, attract more business, more income, make more of an impact on the world. So when I started out in my business 10 years ago, this was my mission. I wanted to be sort of the expert in my field, and I set about doing this, and I really thought about how I was going to become the expert. So I'd love to share sort of 3 steps to doing this. And what I really want to say to everybody is that, there's no such thing as an overnight success. We have to work hard, and we have to kind of establish roots in our business. And to really have a successful business, we need a strong platform. We need to give great value, and we need to be really visible. So the 3 tips. First off, the first thing to really think about, and this was massive for me, I can't tell you how important this was for me in terms of becoming an expert. The very first thing that I did was really focus on getting in the media, getting in the press. Now, I was a marketing manager for BMW in my previous life before I set my business up. So I had massive budgets, and my job was to spend that money on marketing and advertising. So when I had my own business and I was sitting at my dining room table with £10 in my purse thinking, how am I going to do this? Seriously, how am I going to, I couldn't do paid advertising at that time. So I remember getting a local magazine come in the post once a month, and I thought, I wonder if I could put an article or something in here. And that was the turning point for me, because that's what I started to do. And I started off locally, with local press, local newspapers, and then I built up to regional and obviously then national. And I literally picked up the phone and said, hey, would you be interested in having an article on top 10 tips for whatever it was? And they went, yeah. And the sort of the great thing about local press is that normally there's not too many gatekeepers. There's normally one person that runs that magazine, or a couple of people. So I had my first sort of article published, and clients started to come my way, and I started to become known locally or regionally. And then I thought, well, hey, if this works locally or regionally, then maybe it works nationally. And I literally just did the same thing. I reached out to editors and said, hey, what would you be interested in me writing? And I went off and did that. And before long, I was being featured in really big titles like Cosmo and Glamour. It took time, Carrie, obviously. It didn't happen overnight. But, it wasn't that long before I was being featured in all the women's glosses. And that's amazing, because when you get to that point, of course, people start to perceive you as the expert. Whether you're selling a service or a product, you can do this. And it's really easy. And the best thing is, it doesn't cost a penny, and you get your name, your web address featured in a big double-page spread, or even if it's a little bit. So, well worth considering how you can get your business featured locally, regionally, or even nationally.
I love that tip, and I think that when you're starting off, when you focus on trying to get local press and building up your profile locally, it really helps you to build momentum for your business. Because when I started FEA, I started networking like a crazy person locally and building it up so that people kind of got to know me in the area. And then I got on like local radios, and even sometimes when they were like literally just online tiny radios, to me at the time, it felt like momentum. It felt like I was moving forward. Like, oh my gosh, this person wants to feature me. And then getting featured in like the local newspaper and things like that. It just felt like such a step forward. And that gave me the oomph and the inspiration to keep on going, because I was like, well, I must be on the right tracks because this is happening, this is happening, this is happening. And then, like you said, it just goes out until you get featured in a national paper, and then it's like a natural progression. And I think that's one of the most powerful things. That's what I found was the most powerful thing of starting locally to build up a profile. So I love that tip.
And it builds your confidence. And don't forget journalist talk. So what happened for me really quickly was that a journalist would pick up the phone and say, hey, you did something for my friend. Can you do something for me? And then before long, I mean, I'm always getting emails, from the press saying, would you comment on this or do that? So, yeah, it's about responding quickly as well. And very quickly you get known in the industry. So, yeah, fantastic. It's a great one to do.
I love that tip.
Now, the next one is, again, this was, oh my God, a game changer, getting on stage. Now, I know this can be terrifying. I know it isn't for everybody, but for those that feel that kind of call within to kind of share their message, getting on stage, again, whether it's local, whether it's regional or whatever, it doesn't matter, because it's about getting in front of the right audience. Obviously, that's key, getting in front of your target market. But again, it establishes you as the go-to expert. And I tell you what miracle happened for me when I started doing this. And I started going to kind of mind, body, soul fairs. That's where I started. But here's the miracle, because I was doing this for quite a while. This is going back a few years ago now, obviously, and I did a gig on stage, had a few hundred people listen. It was a great list building exercise as well. I built my list from doing a lot of stage work. But a few days after I'd been on stage, I had a call from Hay House, my publisher, and saying they'd seen me on stage and they wanted to talk to me about publishing my book, or a book. So this was massive for me, and I don't think had I put myself out there on stage that opportunity would have come about. So really what I want to say is think about where you can get in front of your audience, because not only is it a great list building activity and obviously getting known as the expert, but you don't know who is watching you and what opportunities that will present for you. So getting on stage is such a powerful, powerful way to becoming the go-to expert in your field.
Yeah, I agree with that, because also the one thing I think is, when have you ever gone along or paid for a ticket, or even gone to a free event where you've seen someone up on stage and you haven't perceived them as someone that knows more about that topic than perhaps you do? In general, that's what we do. We go and see a speaker and we think we see them as the expert. And I think that is just so powerful, how it positions them in our minds right from the get-go. So, yeah, it's although terrifying.
It is, and this is it. But I am a great believer that, you can build any skill. You practice it enough. And, when I worked in sort of marketing and I started sort of talking in front of, it was terrifying. And before I did it, I was being sick in the toilet. And, but the more you do anything, the more you build up that confidence. And, one of my biggest gigs, I know you've done TED, was when I did Hay House's I Can Do It event. And there were thousands, and it was like, oh my goodness. But you know what? Interestingly, I find talking to a really small audience more terrifying than talking to thousands. So you've got to just build that muscle, I think.
Yeah, I think it's so important to put yourself out there. Otherwise, you won't reach the people you want to reach to let them know how amazing you are, or the knowledge that you have that would make an impact or add value to them. So yeah, I think that's a great one.
Yeah. And then the final tip is strategic alliances. So quite simply, like you and I talking today, this is about hooking up with people that share a similar audience. So whether you're selling something, a product, or whether you're selling a service, it's about looking out at what's going on out there and thinking about who can I hook up with, who serves a similar audience, and how might we support each other? How might I promote them and they promote me? But here's the secret with this. It isn't about reaching out to someone and saying, hey, can you help me? It's about reaching out and saying, actually, how can I help you? It's about forming relationships rather than what can I get from this person. It's actually about saying, what can I give to this person? Because naturally, if you give, they're going to want to give back. So there's a right way of doing strategic alliances, is what I'm saying. But again, it can really leverage you as the expert if you're hooking up with other experts, and it can get you to where you want to get to far, far quicker. Yeah. So three tips really are to get in the press, to get on stage and to think about your own joint ventures or strategic alliances, who you can hook up with, that you can grow with.
Yeah, I love those tips. And even with the last one, I think it's so important. I remember that was like my strategy with FEA, was start off by sharing stories about other female entrepreneurs. And then I made the leap to doing the magazine, where I didn't even know what I was doing, I might add. Even though people might think I did, I really didn't. And then try to go out there and reach like best-selling authors and people like Gabrielle Bernstein and Danielle Laporte and Michael Gerber and all these people, and get them to do interviews with them, because I knew that if I could do interviews with them, it would help to raise the profile of the Female Entrepreneur Association. And then the next step was reaching out to experts and doing webinars with people like Amy Porterfield and Lewis Howes and those kinds of people who were already doing so well with what in their field and already perceived as the expert, to then like position yourself. And for me, it's worked so unbelievably well, and it's simple. And I love the thing that with all the 3 steps that you've shared is that I think we both have obviously had experience of all 3. Well, I haven't, obviously you definitely have, but I've experienced all 3 of the things that you've said from nothing. And so I think so often people were like, yeah, but I'm so early on, I can't get publicity, or I'm so early on, I can't be a speaker. Yet both you and myself have proved that you actually can be starting off, and that you can take that route and that journey, and it can help you. Can help to really put you out there as the expert, as someone to take notice of. So I love that, because we can all do it no matter what stage we're at. So thank you so much for coming to share those tips.
Welcome, absolutely. We've all got to start somewhere, and nobody was an expert. We weren't born experts, were we?
No.
It's something you into, and it's all about baby steps.
Yeah, it really is. So I hope thank you so much. I hope you have all enjoyed this so much, and I hope that if any of you are starting out and thinking, oh my gosh, but I can't get publicity, or oh my gosh, I can't go and speak on a stage, or I can't collaborate with the people that are perhaps a step ahead of me, then stop for a second and realize that you can do it. You really can go out there and get publicity, even if it is local. You really can go out there and be a speaker, no matter whether it is on a local small stage, and you can collaborate with other people. So don't ever think that you can't. Program yourself for success and know that you can do it. But I really hope you have enjoyed this episode. If you have, then definitely subscribe if you're not a subscriber yet, and I will see you next week for another 10-minute masterclass. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch one of our videos. I really hope that you enjoyed it. I've got something really exciting that I would love to send your way. We have created the Make It Happen guided visualization for you to listen to every single day for the next 30 days to help you to condition yourself to make incredible things happen. And along with that, we have the Make It Happen workbook to help you to get really clear on your goals, to get so much focus and clarity, to make a plan of action so you know what you need to do and when you need to do it. So if you would love us to send them your way, then all you need to do is subscribe to the email list below, and they will be on their way to you. So definitely do that and come and join an incredible group of women who are so passionate and determined to achieve amazing things and build successful businesses. And I will see you next week for another 10-minute masterclass.